She told me that I'm not enough, and she left me with a broken heart. She fooled me twice and it's all my fault. She cut too deep, now she left me scored. Now there's so many thoughts going through my brain. Now I'm taking these shots like it's Novocaine. Ooh, I fall apart down to my core. Ooh, I fall apart down to my core. Didn't know it before. Surprised when you cut me off guard. All this I'm truly I bought. You was my shorty I thought. Never got a feeling this hard. Harder than the liquor I pour. Tell me you don't want me no more, but I can't let go. Everybody told me so. Feeling like I sold my soul. Devil in a form of a whore. Devil in a form of a whore. You said it. Now you said it. You said it. We'll be together. I fall apart. I fall apart. Eyes keep pouring and the drink keep flowing. Try to brush it off, but it keep on going. Covered scars and I can't help showing. Whipping in the foreign and the tears keep blowing. Eyes keep dropping and the drink keep flowing. Try to brush it off, but it keep on going. All these scars can't help from showing. Whipping in the foreign and the tears keep blowing. Ooh, I fall apart
So Rita, vamos a comenzar, ¿sí? Ok.
Só para dizer que é precisar de internet, é a rede wireless LAN mobile, LAN mobile, e a password é de braços abertos. Ok?
Okay, you can start.
Okay, so bon dia a todos. So we will do presentation in English, and we will also after that be able to answer questions in Portuguese and English. We will adjust. So thank you so much for being with us today. So today we are, presenting the result for the full year 2021 of TAP. And we will do the presentation, and after that we will be happy to take your questions. Okay? So the agenda is the following one. So we'll start by 2021 highlights. What were the key, events in 2021? Then, of course, the numbers. So for 2021, and a little bit of outlook of 2022 and the latest development for TAP and the industry, and conclusion. But to start with, a little bit the summary of this presentation, just to make sure we have the right, dimension in our messages. The first one is, as you know, TAP has a very challenging historical context, and we will go through that. But in addition to that, the first half of 21 was very challenging with our fleet grounded for a number of months, but also borders restriction, border limitation that didn't allow us for most of the year to fly from and where we wanted to go. But you will see that in the second half of 2021 was a significant recovery that helped us in improving our operating result. Big event for us was the approval of the restructuring plan just before Christmas in December. This recovery in second half gave us the opportunity, and we'll see the numbers, to announce today a full year positive recurring operational result. That's very important for the future and the sustainability of the company. But at the same time, to acknowledge some losses accumulated of the past due to non-recurring items, we have a full year net income very negative. But at the same time, we have a cautious optimism for 2022, and we show you why. Okay, so that's for the summary. So let's go now in 2021. So the historical context, TAP very well, and the history very well too. But just to remind a little bit of 4 dimensions. The first one is TAP has always been, for a number of years, struggling with a profitability level. So that's a fact. Second one is we are, today still working on our debt level. And the debt level, you will see, was mainly because of the accumulated loss in M&E Brazil. We have been overstretched in the past by a significant growth, capacity increase. And that have been, as a result, overstretching the company and also the infrastructure around the company. And what was also a main event for 2021 is the COVID impact that, requested the state aid for the survival of the company. And in addition, to be able to access the state aid, the approval of the restructuring plan by the European Commission, meaning DG Comp. The restructuring plan approval in December, was a key event, but at the same time, we didn't wait for the approval to start the implementation of the plan. The implementation of the plan was started at the beginning of 2021, so with a number of initiatives that we'll go through too. So the first version of the plan, with design, was done in 2020, in summer 2020. Then we had a formal submission to the European Commission, in December 2020. We started the implementation in January 2021. We had a new management team, including myself and also Gonzalo, our CFO, in June 2021. And then the last restructuring plan update was delivered to the European Commission in winter 2021, and the approval followed in December. So that's quite the key milestone in 2021. The new management team, so I'm speaking first today, but also Gonzalo, our CFO, will also go through the presentation of the financial result. And as you see, we have a new executive team and also a new non-executive team that is also supporting the management team in the challenges of the delivery of the restructuring plan, supporting us. And I think it's very important to have a team, a real team, to go through these challenging times. Until 2021, just a recap, TAP received 2.2 billion in the restructuring aid and COVID damages compensation, and we are expecting 990 million as soon as the budget will be confirmed this year for 2022. So that's on the left, the restructuring aid with a total of 2.5 billion, and on the right, the COVID damages compensation that were, decided in Europe and are, delivered to the airlines because of the COVID damages. So it's two different structure of aid. The left one is a state aid, and the restructuring plan and the relationship between the Portuguese government and the European Commission. On the right, it's COVID compensation with the same rules that have been applied to all European airlines because of the pandemic. The transformation and the restructuring plan that has been submitted to the European Commission is really founding on 5 main pillars. 5 main pillars, and we have, of course, action plan, very detailed for each, key points. The first one is on customer, restoring the customer experience. The COVID and the pandemic has been, quite difficult for, all organizations, and we are putting customer first. So we have a lot of initiative, and I will come back to what we what has been done, but also how to make sure that we have even a stronger, hub and spoke infrastructure in Lisbon, and our network optimization, looking at the routes that are, profitable, the ones that are not, and making sure the overall optimization of our network and our P&L. The revenue is about improving the quality of our revenue, being not only on the fare structure, but also the overall product offer to our customers, including our cargo sales and the cargo revenues that have been quite significantly improved during the crisis. On cost, I think that, it's about, all our structure of cost. Of course, as an airline, we have a significant cost, with our lessor and suppliers, and it's a priority. It was a priority in 2021. It will be again a priority for 2022 because it's one of our most significant cost items. And our fleet strategy has to be in line with this restructuring of our cost to see what is the optimal fleet and how we can move forward with a better optimization of our cost structure. On the people and enablers, our employees, we have been going through quite a significant, difficult time with working with labor flexibility. We see what has been in 2021, but now we are moving forward, renegotiating all our CLA, and the process already started. And we also have to renew completely our digital roadmap, and we are investing as much as we can because we have a limited, investment capacity, but our investment has to go in priority in our digital roadmap. On the core focus, it's about focusing on the aviation business and making sure that according to the approval of the restructuring plan, we are disinvesting from some of our non-core businesses, and we'll come back on that. So on the restructuring plan, we have some requirements that are key. The first one, and as public information, is about our slot release. the 9 pair of slots that will have to be released for the winter season. So 18 slots, 9 pairs in Lisbon. Then non-core assets disposal. I'll come back on that, what has been done and what we intend to do in the future. We have also a fleet size cap, following this approval. And we also have an acquisition and a ban for the next few years. And that has to be really monitored by the European Commission. All these 4 requirements have to be monitored and are monitored by a shareholder, meaning the Portuguese government, and also by the European Commission. So what has been said and the confirmation, we started the implementation from January this year. So a lot of achievement, from the beginning of 2021. The first one was on customers, with customer experience and network optimization. We have been working a lot on our network, looking at our routes, what could be done. We have a limitation of our fleet, so we have to be even more cautious on the route we launch, on the route we keep, the optimization of the frequency, which type of aircraft on each route. Then on the revenue, the yield optimization, but also we started the conversion of 2 aircraft in full cargo. These 2 aircraft still are expecting or waiting for a final certification from the EASA, so the regulators who need to certify these 2 aircraft who have been changed in full cargo. So as soon as we have this certification, these 2 aircraft will be able to fly with full cargo structure. We also completely changed our product offer, mainly our branded fares, the structure of our fares, and we are looking to deep dive in this structure to be even more close or more competitive compared to our peers in the industry. On cost, it's about fleet, it's about renegotiation with our lessor and suppliers, but it's also about fuel and maintenance cost saving, and we've done a lot in 2021. On people and enablers, it's about labor right sizing, and you will see the number, and also about the emergency agreements that have been signed in 2021. So on the core focus, we have a new shareholder structure in TAP SA, and we also took the decision to gradually close MNE Brazil. So if we go a little bit more in the detail on the customer, due to COVID and uncertainty context, we had to work a lot on the flexibility of our tickets, just making sure our customer could change their tickets, rebook them because of some potential cancellation, because of border closure, opening, but also new rules that really impacted a lot the experience. We had also the capacity to work with new partnership. We have been retightening our relationship with the travel agency, with the trade around the world. We launched new ancillaries, making sure that our customer can book not only the full structure of what we can offer our products, but can also choose the type of service they want to attach to the fare. Yield has been optimized, and Gonzalo will show the evolution of the revenue per available seat kilometers that has been quite good for 2021. We also work on refunds. We had, and we still have a backlog of refunds like all our peers in the industry, making sure we were speeding up the process of refunding our customer, through travel agency, but also our direct customers through our website, investing in a new solution online, making sure they can access the information online. And we have been investing also on improving the quality of our call center. Is it perfect? No, so far, but we are still working on it and improving the experience of our customer on all points of their experience with us. On revenue, that's the example of a quite significant improvement of the performance of cargo in 2021, with an operating revenue that was above 200 million compared to 125 in 2020. So a good performance. And with the events everywhere in the world, we expect the performance to be quite stable with some potential also this year. That's why we confirm, the 2 aircraft with full cargo to be launched this year. So it's really something that is big. It's a big change for TAP, and we intend to have that as a stable infrastructure in the future. On the cost of fleet renewal and modernization, we will receive still some LR this year, but as you see, the evolution of the fleet has been significant from 19 to 21. We have today one of the youngest fleet as far as the Airbus fleet is concerned in Europe. Why? It's because more than 60% of our fleet is now with a neo type of the Airbus fleet. So it's quite positive on our efficiency, not only in fuel, but also on noise. And it's also consistent with our willingness to show our sustainable agenda. On our fleet size, the fleet has been decreasing, but the efficiency and the way we use our aircraft is higher. And you will see the evolution of ESKs that is confirming our capacity to use better our fleet moving forward. On people and enablers, 2021 was a year of not only the capacity right-sizing, but also quite a number of people leaving the organization. And at the same time, we signed the emergency agreement that are in place until 2024. It means that we have at the same time workforce reduction and also a salary reduction for everybody in the organization. It's really a challenging situation, as you can imagine, but at the same time, you will see we are still a company in full restructuring. So this agreement has been signed to support the overall restructuring plan through 2024. And we have also a number of additional measures, but two main measures are salary cut and also workforce right-sizing. On the restructuring plan focusing on TAP SA, a change of shareholder structure for TAP SA, where you see from where we were before, where we are from end of December 21, we are now 100% DGTF. So TAP SA, it's fully owned by the state. So it's really an evolution of the shareholder structure that is showing also how we want to focus on core business, meaning TAP SA moving forward. And that's an evolution that is in place now from beginning of 2022. On MNE Brazil and the closure of MNE Brazil, I think that today it's for us an opportunity to explain a little bit more. So we announced in January the gradual closure of MNE Brazil. It's still a process that is going on, with a lot of discussion in Brazil with our management team and also some advisors that have been appointed to support the management team in this, quite difficult process. So since the announcement of the closure, we had quite a number of discussions with some stakeholders, but also with unions to make sure that the gradual closure is done by engaging all stakeholders in a process like this one. We've tried before, of course, before deciding to close MNE Brazil, to see if we had some potential viable buyers, but we didn't find opportunity to do so. So the decision was made and the process was launched. So Gonzalo, we explain the impact on the historical losses on MNE Brazil on our accounts for 2021. And this decision is fully consistent with what was one of the requirements of the restructuring plan, is a disinvestment of non-core assets. So it's the first milestone in disinvestment of the non-core assets of the group. Gonzalo?
Thank you. So to show now the highlights of the results for the year. 2021 was a very challenging year for the company. We, in the first half, with COVID restrictions, we had most of our aircraft on the ground, which of course affected our results for the first half. With the gradual lifting of the restrictions, we started to, of course, increase our capacity in our operations, and with that, our results will show, of course, an improvement. But COVID was not just an impact for TAP, it impacted the sector as a whole. So most of our peers had the same impact in the operations and in the numbers. And as you can see, TAP actually compares well, being mostly in line or slightly above what our competitors in Europe showed during this period. However, the implementation of the plan already shows some of the results. During the second half, we were able to present close to 200 million positive EBITDA, operational margin, which more than compensates the negative effect of our operations in the first half. We were able to close the year with 12 million euros positive EBITDA. So basically the message here is if we stick to the plan, we will be able to present better results in the future. The difference between the recurring EBITDA and the recurring EBIT, it's basically the cost of the fleet, which shows that we need more capacity. We need to continue to perform in line with what is expected in the plan in order to present better results in the future. In terms of net income, we presented a net income loss of 1.6 billion in the period. This compares with minus 1.75 that was expected in the restructuring plan. Basically, as a consequence of the approval of the plan, we register an impairment on our intergroup loan between TAP SA and TAP SGPS. Most of these losses related to this impairment are related to Emani Brazil, which is a loss-making asset acquired back in 2005. Christine explained the rationale of the closure, and this is a decision that this management took at the end of last year to stop the cash drain on the group. Our cash position at the end of the year was of 830 million, a comfortable cash position, which represents more than 60% of all sales in the period. And this is a consequence of the capital increase transactions held at the end of last year following the approval of the restructuring plan. In terms of our financial debt position, we're reporting at the end of the year a decrease of 43% in our financial debt. This is a consequence of the conversion into equity of the state loan granted to the company back in June 2020. And regarding our amortization schedule, we have a demanding amortization schedule for 23 and 24, with almost 600 million of bonds being redeemed in this period. For that, and in 23, we plan to tap the markets for additional funding. And now for the outlook, Christine.
So this will be a duet, this one. So just for 2022, to show that we already announced the evolution of our offer. So with ESK, that will be above 89% for the summer, is to show that except a little bump you see that is a difference of Eastern period, we are in line with Eurocontrol forecast for this summer. In addition to that, some airlines have the difficulty to be flying to Asia that we don't. So for some airlines, they had also to have a restriction of the offer to Asia, but TAP is, as you know, mainly flying to Africa, South America, and North America on long haul, so we don't have this restriction. So we are in line with the expectation of the industry to see a recovery on this summer. That's for the expectation, but at the same time, we read the news. There is definitely, a significant macro volatility and demand uncertainty that is staying because not only the COVID, evolution that we cannot really predict, so that's one dimension, but also the horrible event in Ukraine that are creating also an additional challenge for some airlines about overflying. And for us, it's a translation, Gonzalo, in the increase of some of our significant costs, and one of the most important increases in fuel cost, but also the fluctuation of foreign exchange and also the evolution of inflation rates. So we have competition increasing not only because the demand is recovery and all the airlines are willing to take the opportunity to have a good summer. So this summer will be critical for all players. And everybody is looking at the potential evolution of the economy and the growth and what will be the impact on our industry. So quite a significant high uncertainty and increased pressure on the P&L and mainly our cost and all the type of costs that are, impacted by these external factors.
Regarding the hedging, we've started to hedge back in October. Most of our first half hedging exposure. Right now, and of course with the advent of the war, rising oil prices, we are entering into opportunistic hedging transactions, mostly at the end of the year, taking advantage of the steep forward curve that the markets are presenting right now.
2022, of course, our vision is consistent with the creation of a sustainable and profitable aviation business by 2025. That's the definition of the restructuring plan. And to deliver it, we launch our business plan for 2022, following what has been already delivered to 2021. The first one is about customers. Why? Because without our customer, it will be difficult to see any success for TAP. So we are investing in our customer experience and all the touch points. We are working with our stakeholders. For Lisbon, we are working with Anna, preparing this summer. It's always a challenge because the whole industry is trying to see how they can organize themselves to recruitment, for instance. We are not only talking about TAP, but all the players in the industry. You've seen some news also in some airports in Europe that are struggling with the recovery. And that's what we are working with all the players around us. On operational performance, we've been working on restructuring also a number of processes, looking at reinforcing some teams to prepare the summer, and also to look at our KPIs even more closely with our operation team. And we work on our process on a day-to-day basis. On revenue, we are focusing more this year on the corporate business. TAP has been always more into the premium leisure and leisure business. That's quite a positive structure of our business during the crisis, because corporate business is not starting as quickly as a leisure business, but we want to prepare ourselves on what is also seen in our industry, the corporate business coming back, and our relationship with corporation, but also our relationship with all our trade partners that are working with corporation on the product side, but also working on the type of product we can build with them. On cost, maybe you want to say a few words, Gonzalo?
Yes. So basically delivering the plan, which is the promise of this management, is of course maximizing revenue, but controlling cost. And we have to keep this cost control mindset all across the company. There's a lot of external factors, as the last few months have proven, and we need to find strategies to mitigate that external exposure. But what we can control, we must control, and the cost control mindset is something that the company needs to deliver in order to deliver the plan.
People and enablers, as mentioned, we started the negotiation of our new labor agreement, and that's a top priority for this year, because we want to not wait for the end of the restructuring plan to find the best condition, for the employees of the group. So that's really a top priority with us, for us. In addition to a number of initiatives that should also improve the engagement of our employees, including communication structure, but also a performance model, and also developing our learning and development path moving forward to make sure that the employee of TAP see also how TAP want to invest in their performance and them growing into the organization. On core focus, maybe just
Yes,
what...
in the plan, we have, as one of our commitments, the focus on our core business, which is aviation. Within the corporate reorganization, the plan is focused in TAP SA, and for that, in the next few months, we will enter into a transaction to reintegrate PGA and UCS in TAP SA.
So in conclusion, again, as you know, a challenging history, and the context, including last year, was quite, an interesting challenge for all players. First half for 2021, it was very difficult, with a fleet, grounded for a number of days, months, but also the restriction of borders. But the second half that has been showing how better management, optimization of our assets, revenue and costs could also show a sustainable future. The restructuring plan approved in December, that also is including some requirements, and the full year positive recurring, operational results. But at the same time, due to non-recurring items, a full year net income still negative. And for 2022, yes, a slow recovery of the demand, but extremely pressure, on our P&L because of some costs that have an evolution that is difficult to predict. That's it, and we are happy to answer to your question.
Vamos começar então aqui o período de perguntas e respostas. Peço só que digam o nome e o órgão de comunicação social que representam.
Okay.
I'm gonna try. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna try. Okay. Good morning, Alda Martins from TVI. I was wondering, I was looking at the results and the EBITDA growth, actually, but the costs, the reduction of the costs, you say that is almost because of the thing about the employees. And my question for this year is if one of the main objectives for you, one of the main goals is to keep the plan, where do you intend to cut more costs in order to make the company grow? Because you said that the employees and the people even for the summer operation will be a challenge if you want to if you want to get to grow with your core business, where do you want to cut more costs to keep the plan, the restoration plan? Sorry, but
No. It's just a very good question. Two things. When you grow, in fact, you recruit employees, and we are recruiting back a number of cabin crew, for instance. But it's a variable cost, okay? In fact, what I want to say is easier for companies to decrease their costs when they grow more than when they don't grow, okay? Because in fact, you have a fixed cost that you try to decrease, but the fixed costs will stay, and then you grow variable costs. So we are intending, and we are recruiting cabin crew for this summer. Doesn't mean that we see that as a negative impact on the overall infrastructure, because our intention, and it's a demand recovery, so revenue growth. So in fact, you will absorb a number of fixed costs by increasing your demand and your SK. So that's one. On the cost opportunity we have for this year.
Yeah, basically, I think it's important to highlight that aviation is a scale business. As Christine mentioned, we were able to present a positive EBITDA margin, even with very low capacity when compared to previous years. So we did roughly more than 60% this year of capacity, and we were EBITDA positive. It's not possible to be EBIT positive, or say paying also the cost of the fleet, flying with a lower capacity like we did. So the growth in demand, the growth in capacity will allow us to present a better result, as Christine mentioned, because those are the costs that we want to have, right? The variable costs that allow us to fly.
Okay, but you are hiring for the
to be able to flow the offer we have in summer and in winter. So we are recruiting. And that's consistent with the plan, and it will allow us to deliver a result for 2022. We have, in parallel, a plan to cut our fixed cost, and it's mainly in fleet, not only using our fleet better, but also more discussion we have with suppliers. But we need to recruit to fly, what we will need to fly this summer. And that's consistent with the plan we have to deliver better result. Because the more you fly, the more you generate revenue. It's more the balance between, and the balance is showing that for us, it's absolutely consistent with delivering the results that are expecting from us. So improving the result of the company.
Okay. Hi, morning. Catarina Damoni from Reuters News Agency. The Portuguese government in November last year said that TAP was unlikely to succeed alone and must be open to consolidation with other airlines. I wanted to ask if you have any news on that front. Christine, we had a press conference last year where you said that could happen in the future, but it was not a priority for now. Has that changed a lot at all? Are there any kind of ongoing talks on consolidation with other airlines at the moment? Thank you.
Well, again, remember my answer. So it's more a question for our shareholders. I think what we do, and that's our mission, is we are member of Star Alliance. We are consolidating our commercial relationship with a number of airlines that are key for us. I was also recently in Middle East because we have a very successful codeshare with Emirates. We have, also our partners in Brazil. So it's really an ecosystem that we can improve now without any development on the shareholder front. And again, it's their responsibility. So we are doing everything, including deploying more codeshares on some routes to feed even better our hub. I think that is really important for us to be in and to show this result 2021 and to show how strong we are and ready to deploy our plan and to show some proper positive outcome for whatever is planned in the future. I think that it's really important for us to reinforce, what we are doing is what we are doing now, by explaining these results. But we have commercial relationship, as you can imagine, with many different airlines. You want to?
Ana Serapicos, RTP. Hello, morning all. My question is about hiring. We are already talked about it, but do we have numbers for us? Are you expecting to hire? How many people do you expect to hire this year?
Okay, so we are hiring now around 250 cabin crew, okay? And that's to make sure we fly according to our schedule and network this summer. So it's a process that is, ongoing because we need these, colleagues on a step-by-step approach because our peak season will start end of May. It's where really our demand will be at the maximum. We decided to delay a little bit our peak season compared to previous year because of what happened with COVID, Omicron, and all airlines have been moving to end of May. So end of May is really where we will need all our resources. We had some also reinforcement of our hub, but it was done before. So we had some more colleagues in the hub, I think 100, colleagues in ground ops. And that was done exactly for some reason, is to make sure we would need, the quality of service, but also employees to make sure that our customer, have the proper experience. It's challenging because, I think that all the players are doing the same. It's not only us, but it's also in Portugal, Anna, that is doing the same. But we are doing our utmost to find the right level of resources. And we also ask some of our partners, mainly the call center, that has been adding some resources, so our partner in Portugal, to make sure that we are anticipating some increase on number of calls And anyway, we were not happy with our performance. We wanted our performance to be better and to have a better quality of service. But it's step by step, and we are pushing.
The workers' unions, they are saying that the company needs more pilots. What about pilots?
I don't see any numbers, that is showing us that we need more pilots. As you know, there is a huge difference between our cabin crew population and our pilot population. We lost last year 990 cabin crew. It's a big number. So to restore, what we need for this summer, it's obvious that it's a number. We need to recruit some cabin crew. Most of the cabin crew we are recruiting have been working for TAP for a temporary period in the past, so they know the company. So, and we are very happy to see them back.
Can we say, don't get me wrong, but can we say that the plan went too far? Because TAP is hiring now.
Well, yes and no. I think all airlines you see in Europe are recruiting back for summer. And I think it's what we do. It's the same. It's just demand and forecast. The uncertainty is the one we have to deal with. As you've seen in the plan, one rule was a flexibility. We are now in a better condition, better situation to predict what demand will be. During the crisis, it was impossible. So I don't want to blame anything in the past. What has been done has been amazing and very difficult for a number of employees, and still now with salary cut. But it was based on information you have when you had. It's easy to change the past. What we are trying now is just to make sure the future is the best one for the organization.
Hi, Rafaela Relvas do Público.
Yes.
Insisting on the rehiring crews. You said that every company is trying to do that. So does that mean that you have to offer better conditions? What does it mean in terms of the conditions you'll have to offer these new workers, considering that what you were trying to do was to cut salaries and cut benefits? I'd also like to ask about the slots negotiation process, how it's going, and just to finish, can you detail the impact of closing the operation in Brazil? Was it a bigger impact than expected? Thank you.
Okay, so on the first one, as a company, we need to be fair. So the same rule applies to all employees. So salary cut apply to all employees, including, the executive team, including, so it's based on discussion. We negotiated with unions last year. So, and the same rules will apply to employees. So there is no possibility for us to differentiate, and that's, we don't want to do that. So we are recruiting cabin crew based on the condition of our cabin crews, and that's very open and transparent. So,
how do you expect to be attractive, considering that every company is trying to recruit again?
Well, so far we didn't have any difficulty to recruit cabin crews for TAP. I'm not saying the same for some other population. For instance, we had difficulty, or our partners had difficulty to recruit in call center. But for cabin crews, we have been so far successful to recruit a number of cabin crews we need to recruit for this summer. On the second point, it was many. Yep.
Yep. I want to just clarify the impairment we are registering here is due to the intragroup loan between TAP SA and TAP SGPS. Those are losses already incurred. It is not with losses of specifically the closure of TAP and Mani in particular. So the almost 1B that we register, a big part of that number is historic losses related to the maintenance and engineering in Brazil.
You had maybe a third question. Okay. It's an independent process. So there is a monitoring organization that has been appointed, and in fact, we cannot be involved in it. It should be a very neutral process. The only thing is that we have been asking them to let us know as soon as possible what is the outcome of the process that should apply, by June, I understand. And then, because we need to take that in account to make sure we finalize the preparation of our winter season for our network. But it's managed by an independent company, so we don't have any information on that, as we should not, to make sure this process is really done without any potential impact or influence.
Brevíssimo, Eco. First, you spoke about the integration of PGA. What can you add on that process? When do you expect it to be closed? I didn't get it. Besides PGA, is there another company that's being integrated? Okay. I have two further questions.
Okay, no, please continue.
So the other was concerning EMI Brazil. How much it will cost still? When can those accounts be closed on the impact of closing EMI Brazil? And finally, if you can share what is the restructuring plan, what is the number for the results in 2022, both bottom line and income?
Okay, so starting by the last one, we are not giving any forecast relating to the restructuring plan. Relating to TAP M&E Brazil, the number that you see already includes the cost of closure. So we don't expect any further losses regarding M&E in Brazil. On the first question on, we will be, TAP SA will be acquiring PGA and UCS from TAP SGPS. Those two companies are within the strategy mentioned in the restructuring plan. The focus on our core business. We feel that PGA and UCS are an integral part of what should be the TAP SA, the new holding. Those acquisitions will be decided on shareholders meeting. So as soon as we present results, we will call for an AGM, and the shareholder will be deciding on those transactions.
Sorry, if the restructuring plan doesn't allow for acquisitions, in this case, this bypasses that rule.
So this is part of the strategy of focusing on those on that core business. I remind you that the former holding was TAP SGPS. So the reorganization, as the capital increase and the COVID compensations are being injected into as a form of equity into TAP SA. The new group will be TAP SA, which will integrate PGA and UCS.
Hi, Enrique Almeida, Bloomberg. I have two questions. Could you said you were cautiously optimistic for 2022 because you've seen a slow recovery in demand, even though you've seen higher costs. When do you expect travel demand to reach pre-pandemic levels? Are we still very far from those levels? And also, could you give us a little bit of a sense of how much costs are impacting your operations? And that's it. Thank you.
So what I mentioned to you, we will be on the peak around 89-90% of 2019. We don't expect the level 2019 to come back before next year, so that's what we have in mind, and it will be following the performance of this summer. In fact, what is saying the industry is that the industry was very surprised by the dynamic of the recovery and the preparation of this summer. Even, so far we are looking and monitoring the war in Ukraine. It's impacted mainly, in fact, the cost of the flights that are overflying Russia. Give you an example, our colleagues of Finnair have to add 1 to 4 hours for their flight to Japan. So it's a huge increase of their cost. But at the same time, we have an increase of fuel costs. We did some increase of our fuel surcharge that we announced a few weeks ago. That absolutely will never compensate of the fuel increase, but have been decided, and we are following the move of the market, because in fact we are follower on fuel surcharge increase. So it will be one mitigation. The other one is, of course, a fuel hedging. That is the second one. But you have many other external factors, and maybe Gonzalo, you want to add. You have foreign exchange. We are starting to look at it. You have inflation rates that could have an impact on the demand if the inflation rate is going skyrocketing. So this we are monitoring on a regular basis. On fuel, and we've shown you hedging, we also decided to invest in technology. It was last year. On a fuel new software. For our pilots are doing a fantastic job on making sure they optimize the fuel consumption, but we needed really new tools. So we are investing in technology to make sure we are also on the consumption level, of course, keeping safety as a priority, making sure the fuel consumption is optimized by a complete crew.
You said 90%? You said we are now at 90% of pre-pandemic levels for TAP?
On the peak summer, will be around 90% of pre-pandemic level for TAP. But also, the industry is a big world industry. TAP doesn't fly to Asia, so we are not impacted by some restriction to Asia that other airlines in Europe are. For instance, the airlines that are flying more to the east. That's why when you look at really the network infrastructure that is excluding Asia, we are consistent with our, competitor in Europe on this offer.
Levi Fernandes from AFP, Agence France Presse. 2 questions. Are you planning to increase the fuel surcharge more this year? And the other one is TAP planning to launch more destinations?
Okay, so on the fuel surcharge, it's a question of monitoring and looking what is going on. There are many moving pieces. After that, you could have some changes in some areas of the world, not others. So we are really monitoring that with our team. So today, it's just a question of balancing the demand with the price. We don't want to see a negative impact on the revenue per seat kilometer that we are looking at on a day-to-day basis. So that's what we do. So structurally, the airlines are looking at the elasticity and see what can be done. On new destination, our core strategy is this year to reinforce our core business. So our network, the one we have, the destination we serve. That's why we launch all our destination in Brazil, and now we are looking at the frequency. For instance, we just started to fly again to Porto Alegre, just beginning of the summer season. We today have 3 frequency per week. Pre-pandemic, we were up to 5. That's the type of evolution we want to first monitor before to looking in new destination. We are still working on our winter season because we are in April and the winter season, it's giving us some time, and we are looking at it, but I think that I would ask you to have a low expectation. If we do so, it will be maybe to some destination we are flying in the past and we decide to relaunch them. Most of them are being relaunched so far. We decided, for instance, not to fly again or not to relaunch our flight to Moscow for obvious reason. But we can then redistribute the capacity of this flight to other infrastructure. But no plan to open many new destinations. And it's also due to the fact that we have a limit on our fleet size, as you see. It's a requirement. So we have to be very, disciplined and rigorous in our network because of also this restriction.
Good morning, Maria João Pereira, Agência Lusa. These planes you are hiring for the summer, is that contract closed? Where did they come from, and when will you expect to start
cabin
flying
crew,
with them?
you mean?
Excuse me?
The cabin crew or tripulação?
The plane and the cabin crew, it's
so the
everything.
aircraft are already in place. The only event we had, and you can comment on that, was a delay we had in some delivery on some Embraer, but by the summer we will have the Embraer we were expecting deliver, and we had to bridge the gap an ACMI that started this weekend. So that's the only difference we had to manage. For the cabin crews, it's in progress. I think they are joining the organization step by step till end of May. So it's something that is managed by the team. So we are in April. By end of May, we will have the 254 cabin crew in our organization. Obrigado.
Time to lay down slow, and I know you're still